Okay, today we are going to review polynomial functions and graphs of polynomial functions. Under this topic, we are going to illustrate what a polynomial function is, and we are going to discuss the different properties of the graphs of polynomial functions. So to start with, let us have first the definition of polynomial function. So when we say polynomial function, it is a function which involves only non-negative integer powers or only positive integer exponents. It is a function of the form p of x equals a sub n x raised to n plus a sub n minus 1 x raised to n minus 1 plus a sub n minus 2 x raised to n minus 2 plus and so on and so forth up to a sub 1x plus a sub 0. A sub n is not equal to 0, where n is a non-negative integer. A sub 0, a sub 1, and a sub n are real numbers called coefficients. Then we have a sub n x raised to n. This is the leading term. When we say leading term, this is the term of the polynomial function with the highest exponent. So we have also a sub n is the leading coefficient. So when we say leading coefficient, this is the numerical coefficient of the leading term. Then we have a sub 0 is the constant term. And when we say constant term, that is only a number without any variable. So the value of n in this polynomial function is what we call the degree of the polynomial. And when we say the degree of polynomial, the value of n, that is the highest exponent of the term of the polynomial. So what are the different forms of writing polynomial functions? First one, we have here the standard form. So when we say standard form, this is the form of polynomial function wherein this is written in decreasing power of x, or written in terms with highest exponent first, followed by terms with lower exponent, then constant term. So another form of writing polynomial function is factored form. So when we say factored form, so it is written as a product of factors. So let us have examples of the following. Okay, number 1. So y is equal to 2x raised to 4 minus 3x raised to 3 plus x squared minus x plus 1. So this polynomial function is written in standard form because as what we have observed, the terms of the polynomial function are written in decreasing power. So start with the exponent 4, followed by 3, followed by 2, then first degree, then we have the 0 degree term. So the degree are in descending order. So how are we going to determine the leading term, the leading coefficient, the degree, and the constant term of this polynomial function, which is written in standard form? So based on the definition, when we say leading term, this is the term with the highest exponent. Since the polynomial function is written in standard form, it refers to the first term if it is written in standard form. So the leading term, the term with the highest exponent, which is written as the first term of the function, is 2x raised to 4. Now, what is the leading coefficient? So when we say leading coefficient, if you already identify the leading term, look at the leading term. So the numerical coefficient is 2. So that 2 is our leading coefficient. Then what is the degree? So as what I have said a while ago, this is the highest exponent, or it can be found in the leading term. So the degree is 4. Then what is the constant term? So the term without variable is 1. So our constant term is 1. Number 2. So we have f of x is equal to 3x raised to 3 minus x plus x raised to 4 plus 2x squared minus 4. So if we're going to observe each terms of the given polynomial function for number 2, the exponent of the terms are not written in descending power or descending order. Meaning, this is not written in standard form. So if we are going to write this in standard form, so we are going to start with the term with the highest exponent, and that is x raised to 4, followed by the term 3x raised to 3, then we have 2x raised to 2, followed by negative x, and then the last term will be negative 4. So now, the given polynomial function is written in standard form. So you can easily determine now the leading coefficient, the leading term, the degree, and the constant term. So the leading term, the term with the highest exponent is x raised to 4. Then we have the leading coefficient. The coefficient of x raised to 4 is 1. So the leading coefficient is 1. Then our degree, the highest exponent of the terms, we have 4. And then for our constant term, we have negative 4. So you can also determine the following values even if you did not arrange this in descending order or you didn't write this in standard form. So just analyze each term. So the leading term with the highest exponent, leading coefficient can be found in the leading term, the numerical coefficient, the degree, the highest exponent, the constant term, the term without any variable. Next. So what about if the given polynomial function is written in factored form? So product of factors, we have here y is equal to the quantity of x raised to 2 plus 7 times the quantity of x minus 2 times the quantity of x plus 4. So, if you are going to determine the leading term, the leading coefficient, the degree, and the constant term, so there are two ways on how to find it. Pwede nyong isulat siya ng standard form. Pwede rin namang hindi na isulat ng standard form. So, kung isusulat mo kasi siya ng standard form, makikita mo agad kung ano ang leading term, leading coefficient, degree, and constant term kung nakasulat siya ng standard form. Pero kung isusulat mo siya ng standard form, o kung paano mo siya isusulat ng standard form, ang gagawin mo dun sa polynomial function in factored form, imumultiply mo lahat ng factors. And then, isusulat mo na siya in descending power. And it will result to y is equal to x raised to 4 plus 2x raised to 3 minus x squared plus 14x minus 56, multiplying the three factors. So, kapag nakasulat na siya ng standard form, so you can easily determine the leading term, and that is x raised to 4. The leading coefficient, so the coefficient of x raised to 4 is 1. The degree, so you have the highest exponent 4, then the constant term which is negative 56. Okay lang din naman na hindi na siya isulat ng standard form. Madidetermine pa rin natin kung ano ang leading term, leading coefficient, degree, and constant term kahit pa siya ay nakasulat ng factored form. So, kung hindi naman hinihingi yung standard form at ang hinihingi ay yung 4 na values sa baba, okay lang na hindi na isulat sa standard form. Ganito ang gagawin natin. Para malaman natin kung ano ang leading term, lahat ng first term ng factors, yun lang ang i-multiply natin. Ibig sabihin, meron tayong tatlong factors at ang mga first term ng tatlong factors ay x squared. Sa pangalawang factor, we have x. And in the third factor, we have x. So yung x squared, yung x and x, imumultiply natin. So ano ang product nun? So, x squared times x is equal to x raised to 4. So, that will be our leading term. So, the product of the first term of each factors will determine our leading term. So, we have x raised to 4. Next, paano naman malalaman ang leading coefficient kung nakasulat siya ng factored form? Since una na natin kinuha kanina ang leading term, so from that, makikita mo na ang leading coefficient. If the leading term is x raised to 4, then the leading coefficient is 1 because that is the numerical coefficient of our leading term. Now, kung nakuha mo na rin kung ano ang leading term, alam mo na rin kung ano ang degree. Because our leading term is x raised to 4, then the degree is 4. Now, paano naman kuhanin si constant term? Si constant term ay laging last term kung nakasulat ng standard form. So, ibig sabihin, manggagaling yung value ng constant term if we multiply all constant of the 3 factors. So, ano-ano yung tatlong constant ng 3 factors? So, in the first factor, we have positive 7. Sa second factor, negative 2. Sa third factor, we have positive 4. So, kung imumultiply natin si 7, si negative 2, at si positive 4, ang sagot natin dyan ay negative 56 because 7 times 2 is 14, 14 times 4 is 56. Why negative? Because you have positive times negative times positive is negative. That's why our constant term is negative 56. So, kahit di mo siya isinulat ng standard form, kaya pa rin natin i-determine yung mga values na leading term, leading coefficient, degree, and constant term. Kung nakasulat tayo ng factored form ang polynomial. Okay, so let's proceed to the next. So, some examples in the illustration of polynomial functions. So, we have 4 questions here. Number 1, let's start with the question, which of the following is a polynomial function? So, there are 3 given polynomial functions below. The first one is f of x is equal to x raised to 4 plus 2x raised to 3 minus x plus 1. Then the second is f of x is equal to x raised to negative 2 plus 2x minus 1. Then the third is f of x is equal to the square root of 2x raised to 4 plus the square root of x. So, if that is the question, babalikan natin yung definition. So, tinatanong kasi alin dyan sa tatlong yan ang polynomial function. So, to answer the question, you have to recall what is a polynomial function and that is based on the definition. Ang sabi kasi doon, dapat ang mga exponents daw ay positive integer. Walang negative integer. Pag sinabi na natin integer, dapat siya ay whole number. So, kung mapapansin natin si number 1, 4, 3, 1 ang kanyang mga exponents ng variables or ng terms. Yung sa 2, meron tayong exponent na negative 2. So, hindi na siya pwede. Yung namang sa 3, meron tayong radical symbol. So, we have the square root symbol. Which means that if we are using radical symbol, it indicates that the power or there is an exponent which is 1/2. So, ibig sabihin ngayon, si number 2 may negative exponent, si number 3 may radical symbol which is meaning exponent is 1/2. Hindi natin pwede i-consider si 2 and 3 na maging polynomial function. So, hindi rin pwede kapag decimal ang exponent, kapag fraction ang exponent, hindi rin pwede kapag may variable sa denominator. So, ang accepted lamang to be a polynomial function is polynomial function in 1. Meaning, for the first question, ang sagot natin is letter A. Next, number 2. What is the leading term of the polynomial function f of x is equal to x squared plus 2x cubed plus 1? So, ang dali-dali ng tanong. Kasi kanina, ang dami nating examples on how to determine those values. So, leading term, i-analyze mo muna kung nakasulat ba ang ating polynomial function in standard form. Kasi, yung iba, ang kalimitang nagiging error dito, kung ano yung first term, yun ang kanilang sinasagot na leading term, which is hindi lagi. Dahil ang ating polynomial function sa number 2 ay hindi nakasulat ng standard form. So, ibig sabihin, hanapin mo muna kung ano yung term na mayroong highest exponent at hindi siya x squared. Dahil yung sunod ay 2x raised to 3. So, mas malaki yung power ni 2x raised to 3 kaysa sa x squared. So, ang ating leading term ngayon ay letter A, which is 2x squared, not x. 2x cubed, not x squared. So, don't be confused on that. It doesn't mean that the first term is x squared, ayun na ang iyong magiging leading term. So, dapat marunong ka muna mag-analisa ng mga degree or exponent ng iyong terms of polynomial function. So, the term with the highest exponent is 2x cubed. Therefore, the leading term, the answer for number 2 is letter A. Next, number 3. What is the degree of the polynomial function f of x is equal to x raised to 3 plus 2x raised to 5 plus 1? So, ganun din. Tingnan mo muna kung nakasulat ba siya ng standard form. Kasi yung iba din dyan, ang error, kung ano yung first term, yung exponent ng first term ang kinukuhang degree, which is hindi lagi. Kung nakasulat siya ng standard form, tama yun. Pero kung hindi siya nakasulat ng standard form, hanapin mo yung highest exponent. Nasaan yung highest exponent? Nandun sa 2x raised to 5. So, ibig sabihin, ang highest exponent natin is 5. Then, ang sagot natin doon sa question, what is the degree? Ang sagot natin is letter D. So, the degree of the function is 5, letter D. Number 4. What is the factored form of f of x is equal to x squared plus 5x minus 6? So, yung iba, kaya siya ang agad-agad i-factor by just looking. And since meron naman tayong choices, A, B, C, and D, analyze the factors. Kasi, ang last term natin is negative 6. So, kung ang last term natin ay negative 6, hindi na pwede si letter A. Dahil, ang last term nun ay positive 6. So, pagdating naman kay letter B, letter C, at saka letter D, ang last term niya kapag i-multiply natin, negative 6. Pero, ang middle term ng ating polynomial ay positive 5x. So, ibig sabihin dyan, ang tamang sagot ay letter D because x plus 6 times x minus 1, if you are going to multiply, it will result to x squared plus 5x minus 6. So, kailangan nyo ma-double check whether it is working backward or multiplying each factors kung alin na mag-result equal to x squared plus 5x minus 6. So, iba, since the given polynomial function naman ay quadratic function, so that is factorable based on the factors of the last term that if you are going to add will result to positive 5. So, yun yung letter D. 6 times negative 1 kasi is negative 6. So, that is the last term. Then, 6 plus negative 1 is positive 5. That is for the middle term. So, the correct answer for number 4 is letter D. Okay. So, that's all for polynomial function. Now, let's proceed to graphs of polynomial function. So, isa-isahin natin ano yung mga properties ng graphs ng polynomial function. So, ang unang-unang dapat alam natin is kung ano ang x and y intercept. Kasi, saan ba dadaan sa x-axis? Saan dadaan sa y-axis? So, yun yung x and y intercept. So, let us have an example. What is the x and y intercept of the graph of the function y is equal to the quantity x plus 2, quantity x plus 1, quantity x minus 2. Madali lang yan kapag nakasulat ng factored form. Kasi yung previous lesson natin noong first quarter ay finding the roots or values of x of the function. So kung nakasulat siya ng factored form, ang ginagawa na lang natin doon sa x plus 2, ang ating x-intercept or value ng x ay negative 2 kasi equate mo siya sa 0. So, x plus 2 equals 0. Then, solve for x. X is equal to negative 2. Then, for the second factor, we have x plus 1. If you equate that also to 0, so, value of x will be negative 1. And then, for the last factor, we have x minus 2, equating that factor to 0. Solving for x. So, we have x is equal to positive 2. Yes, positive 2, sorry. Now, your y-intercept will be negative 4. Saan nanggaling yun? Sabi ko nga kanina, i-multiply lang natin si 2, si 1, at saka si negative 2. Therefore, the product of the three constant term is negative 4. So, yun ang ating y-intercept. Next, number 2, y is equal to x cubed plus x squared minus 3x minus 3. So, you have to factor the given polynomial function completely so that we can easily determine the x-intercepts and the y-intercept. So, if you're going to factor that using synthetic division o kaya factor theorem, so you have x plus 3, x plus 1, and then x minus 1. So, dahil kita na natin siya in factored form, ang kanyang mga x-intercept ay negative 3, negative 1, and positive 1. And then, ang kanyang y-intercept, if we multiply 3, 1, and negative 1, dun sa factor yun manggagaling ha. Doon sa first factor ay 3, sa second factor ay 1, sa third factor ay negative 1. I-multiply natin yung tatlong yon. Ang product niya is negative 3, so that is our y-intercept. So, dito sa baba, yung graph niya, kung mapapansin nyo, ang x-intercept natin negative 3, negative 1, positive 1. So, dun dumaan yung ating graph. So, negative 3, negative 1, positive 1. So, that is our x-intercept. Then, saan naman dumaan sa y-axis? Sa y-axis, nag-intersect tayo sa negative 3 because that is our y-intercept. So, yun yung first property of the graph of polynomial function. If you know the x and y-intercept, pwede mo na agad i-describe dun dadaan yung graph natin sa x and y-axis. Okay. Next. Balikan ko pala yung y-intercept. Kapag nakasulat naman ng standard form yung ating polynomial function, yung y-intercept natin ay laging yung constant term, negative 3. Kasi replacing all variables by 0, it will result to negative 3. And that is your x-intercept. Let's proceed to the next. Ayan. Based on the end behavior of the graph of polynomial functions. Kasi madidescribe na natin yung graph niya kung paano nag-start sa left at saka paano natapos sa right. If it is rising or falling, sabi dyan. At tawag kasi dyan ay leading coefficient test. So, as x increases or decreases without bound, the graph of p of x equals a sub n, x raised to n, plus a sub n minus 1, x raised to n minus 1, plus a sub n minus 2, x raised to n minus 2, and so on. A sub 1, x plus a sub 0. Again, a sub n should not be equal to 0. Eventually, rises or falls in particular. Kailan yun mangyayari? So, ang tinitingnan natin dyan is yung left and right behavior of the graph of polynomial function as illustrated in the figure. Ang basis niyan ay yung ating leading coefficient. So, kanina diniscuss natin ano ang leading coefficient. Ito ay numerical coefficient ng leading term. So, dalawang bagay lang. Titingnan natin dyan kung positive ba o negative yung leading coefficient. And then, titingnan din natin, i-analyze din natin kung ano naman ang degree. So, kung ang degree ba ng function natin ay even or odd. So, ano ang sinasabi doon sa leading coefficient at saka doon sa degree ng polynomial, ano ang kinalaman niya sa end behavior of the graph of polynomial function. So, ito yun. So, nag-start muna yung ating illustration sa degree na odd. So, ibig sabihin, yung highest exponent ng ating polynomial function ay mga odd numbers. Ano yung mga odd numbers? 3, 5, 7, 9. So, kung yun ang iyong degree, kung ganun ang degree mo, odd numbers, at ang leading coefficient natin ay positive, ayan, the graph falls to the left. Ito, nag-fall sa left, rises to the right. Ayun, ulitin ko ha. Kung ang degree ng polynomial function natin ay odd number, then ang ating leading coefficient ay positive, ang left behavior mo ay falling or false, and then ang right mo ay rises. Next, kapag naman ang iyong leading coefficient ay negative, so negative ang sign ng leading coefficient, pero yung degree mo ay odd pa rin. So, kabaliktaran nyo nung naunang illustration. Ang left behavior mo ay rises, and then ang right behavior mo ay falling. Ito. Ayan. Next, kapag ang ating degree ay even, so ano yung mga even degree? We have 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, and so on and so forth. So, mga even yung degree mo. And then, ang leading coefficient mo ay positive. Parehong rising ang left and right. So, ito. Yung left mo pataas, yung right behavior ng graph mo pataas din. Ulitin ko. Positive yung leading coefficient, ang degree ay even. Next, paano kung naging negative ang leading coefficient, ang degree ay even pa rin? So, kabaligtaran noong nauna. Pareho silang pababa. Left and right, both false or falling. Okay, may note. Odd degree polynomial. So, kung ang ating polynomial ay mayroong odd degree, sabi dyan, ang graph niya ay opposite behavior at each end. Kagaya nitong unang dalawang illustration. Ang degree natin ay odd. So, kung mapapansin nyo, yung left and right ay opposite ang direction. Kung ang isa ay false, yung right ay rises. Kung ang right ay rises, ang left ay false. Because the degree is odd. So, kita mo na agad, may idea ka na agad, if the degree is odd, okay, left and right behavior opposite ang mangyayari. Pag naman even degree polynomial, same ang behavior noong end ng ating graph. So, kagaya nito. For n is even, parehong pataas. Ito, parehong pababa. Kailan parehong pataas? Even ang degree, positive ang leading coefficient. Kailan parehong pababa? Even ang degree, negative ang leading coefficient. So, tandaan nyo yung apat na yan kasi that is the easiest way on how to describe the graph of polynomial function through the use of the leading coefficient test. Next. Ayan, example. Which of the following is the graph of the polynomial function f of x is equal to negative x raised to 4 plus 1? Graph ang ibinigay. So, ibig sabihin, may idea na tayo na pwede natin gamitin kanina yung number 2 property, yung leading coefficient test. So, tingnan natin agad ang degree. Ang degree niya even. Kanina may sinabi na ako dun sa note. Kapag ang degree ay even, pareho ang beginning and ending ng graph. So, alin dyan ang pareho ang beginning and ending ng graph? Letter A and letter B. Pero, pareho ba siyang pataas o pareho ba siyang pababa? Okay. Ano naman ang kanyang leading coefficient? So, ang leading coefficient niya is negative 1. Ito. So, sabi ko kanina, kapag ang leading coefficient ay negative, ang graph natin ay parehong pababa. Dahil ang degree natin ay even. Ayan. So, ang sagot ngayon natin dito ay letter B. So, same ang behavior ng end ng graph natin because the degree is even. And since ang ating leading coefficient ay negative, so parehong pababa. Kung nagkataon na positive ang leading coefficient, let's say this is x raised to 4, not negative. Ang sagot natin dyan, letter A. Parehong pataas. Pero dahil negative siya, then even ang degree, so parehong pababa, and that the answer is letter B. So, ang sagot natin dyan ay letter B. Next. Okay, ano naman yung next property on how you can interpret or describe the graph of polynomial function. So, yung sinasabi dito, yung multiplicity and x-intercept. So, yung x-intercept na tinatawag, yung value ng x kanina natin na kinuha, o yun din yung tinatawag na zeros of the function. So, nirepresent siya dito nung r. Sabi siya, if r is a zero of odd multiplicity, the sign of the polynomial function f of x changes from one side of r to the other side, and the graph of f of x crosses the x-axis at r. So, ano ibig sabihin nun? Tingnan natin dito sa baba. Add multiplicity daw yung 0 or yung x-intercept mo. Given yung kanyang standard form, pero ipinakita na rin yung kanyang factored form para mas madali. Kasi madaling makita yung property na yan kung nakasulat siya ng factored form. So, meron tayong tatlong factors, x plus 4, x minus 3. Ang power nung factor na x plus 4 ay 1. Ang power nung factor na x minus 3 ay 1. So, yung 1 ay odd number. Diba? So, ibig sabihin, meron tayong dalawang factor na ang exponent ng factor ay odd. Kasi yung 1 ay odd number. So, ano yung first value of r o x-intercept? So, dun sa una, ang x-intercept mo ay negative 4. Sa pangalawa ay positive 3. So, ano ibig sabihin? Yung negative 4 na x-intercept at saka yung positive 3 na x-intercept, pareho silang may odd multiplicity. Add multiplicity. Ulitin ko ha, yung multiplicity na yon ay dinidetermine kung factored form doon sa power ng factor. So, ang power niya is 1. Ito namang x minus 3, ang power niya is 1. So, odd number yung power. So, yung x-intercept mo ngayon na negative 4 at saka positive 3 ay parehong odd multiplicity. So, sabi diyan, changes from one side to another side. Ibig sabihin, it will cross the x-axis. So, from positive kasi, ito si negative 4 ng x-axis, which is our x-intercept. So, kung positive 4 ang x-intercept mo, negative 4 ang x-intercept mo, nanggaling siya sa positive side ng y, ko-cross siya dyan, bababa papuntang negative. Kaya sabi doon, changes from one side to another side. From positive side going down to negative side. That's why it crosses the x-axis. Bakit crosses? Kasi nga, yung negative 4 mo na value ng x ay mayroong odd multiplicity. Bakit odd multiplicity? Yung factor mo kasi, ang exponent ay 1 and 1 is an odd number. Kung ang exponent niya ay 3, let's say, quantity of x plus 4 raised to 3. So, 3 yung power ng factor, add pa rin yun. Add multiplicity, magko-cross pa rin. Nagets na? And dito, pagdating dito sa positive 3. So, yung x minus 3, yung factor na yun ng exponent niya ay 1. So, that is another odd multiplicity because 1 is an odd. So, go from negative side, pupunta tayo sa positive side. So, changes from one side to another. The graph crosses at the x-intercept positive 3. So, ayan. Yun naman pangalawa. If r is a zero of even multiplicity, the sign of the polynomial function f of x remains the same from one side of r to the other side, and the graph of f of x is tangent to the x-axis at r. It touches the x-axis and turns around at r. So, hindi siya crosses, tangent siya. Pag sinabing tangent, itatouch lang niya, then magta-turn na siya. So, alin yung factor ng polynomial function na mayroong exponent na even? Sabi dyan, even multiplicity. So, ito yung factor na x plus 1 raised to 2. Ito. Si factor na x plus 1 raised to 2, ang x-intercept niya ay negative 1. And then, bakit siya even multiplicity? Kasi ang exponent ng factor ay 2, that is even. So, yun ang nagdedetermine ng multiplicity ha, yung positive 2. So, this is even multiplicity. So, your 0, negative 1, or x-intercept negative 1 is a zero of even multiplicity. So, hindi dapat magko-cross dun sa negative 1. itatouch lang niya si negative 1, ito si negative 1, itatouch lang niya si negative 1, kung siya ay nanggaling sa baba pa rin siya paglampas doon. So, baba, hindi pupunta sa taas, magta-turn pa rin siya pababa. Ayun, kung mapapansin nyo sa graph. So, nanggaling siya dito sa baba, sa negative, touch only negative 1, and then turn pababa ulit. So, this is what we call tangent to the x-axis at r because the value of r is an even multiplicity or has an even multiplicity. Okay na? Next. Turning point. So, ito yung pinakamadali na i-determine. Pag sinabi natin turning point, yung ilang alon ba, ilang curve siya, ilang turn. Yan. So, dito sa example natin, we have 1, 2, 3, 4 turning points. So, ang tinatanong dyan, possible maximum number of turning points. I-determine siya ng formula na n minus 1. Yung n ay degree. So, yung highest exponent, minus 1 lang. So, in our example, we have x raised to 5 minus 6x raised to 3 plus 8x plus 1. So, ang degree natin ay 5. Kung tinatanong ka ngayon kung ilan ang maximum number of turning points, it's only 5 minus 1 and the answer is 4. Ano? Sabi dun, n minus 1, degree minus 1. So, the degree is 5 minus 1. The turning point or maximum number of turning point is 4. Binilang natin, meron tayong 1, 2, 3, 4 na turning point. So, tama. Ito ng example. Which of the following is the maximum number of turning points of the graph of f of x equal to x raised to 6 plus 3x raised to 5 minus 9x raised to 3 minus 2x minus 1? Yung ating degree ay 6. Di ang turning point niya, 6 minus 1. Ang turning point natin is 5. The answer is letter D. Okay, yan yung pinakamadali sa property. Okay, let's have another example. Which of the following best describe the graph of f of x is equal to 5x raised to 3 plus 3x squared minus 4x minus 1 using the leading coefficient test? Leading coefficient test. So, ang titingnan natin dyan, ano ba ang degree at ano ang leading coefficient? So, para malaman natin kung rises or falls ba ang left and right behavior niya. Ito ang ating leading term, 5x raised to 3, which means that our degree is 3 and our leading coefficient is 5. So, kung ang degree natin ay 3, pag dinescribe natin ang degree natin ay add. Kanina doon sa note ko, sabi ko, kapag add ang degree, opposite na agad ang direksyon ng left and right. So, hindi pareho. So, kung titingnan natin doon sa choices, yung letter A opposite ang behavior at saka yung letter C. So, slash natin si A, letter B at saka si letter D. Kasi yung letter B at saka letter D para yun sa ang degree ay even. Yung pareho ang nangyayari sa left and right. So, hindi na pwedeng piliin si B and D. Kasi ang degree natin ay add. So, dun tayo sa magkaiba ang behavior ng left and right. Okay, paano natin malalaman ang tamang sagot sa letter A at saka sa letter C? Tingnan natin ang leading coefficient. 5. That is positive. So, kung ang leading coefficient mo ay positive at ang degree mo ay add, kanina sa illustration ko, ang behavior ng graph pagka ganun, positive leading coefficient, add degree, sabi dun sa property natin kanina, graph falls to the left, rises to the right. So, ang sagot natin ngayon dyan ay ano? A or C? So, ang sagot natin dyan ay letter A. Kasi yung letter C, mangyayari yun. Sabi dun, falls to the right yung letter C. Falls to the right kung ang ating leading coefficient ay negative. Pero dahil ang leading coefficient natin ay positive, so rises to the right yan. And dahil ang degree mo ay add, so opposite, so yung kabila, false. So the correct answer for this is letter A. The graph falls to the left and rises to the right. So opposite yung behavior, yung opposite direction natin ng graph ay opposite din ang characteristics ng behavior. Falls, the other one rises. Okay. Letter A. So that ends our review for the topic, polynomial function and the graphs of polynomial function.